Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
So check this out. You're on your way home and you're struggling with a food craving. You want to stop at your favorite fast food place and you know you should head straight home, but you don't. You pull straight in and you give in to that craving. It's like you can't seem to stop snacking or consuming the food that you know you're not supposed to deal with. Listen, we've all been there, whether it's chips, cookies, sweets, your favorite hamburger spot, whatever. The struggle is real. You know, you're out with your family or friends and that temptation to just eat whatever is just strong. And you're like, man, I'm just going to give in. It's just too hard. You want to stop and you want to do right. You're tired of eating the salads that, you're just bored of already. And, you just get caught up. So you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to finally do what I need to do to kick my food cravings? You want to do the right exercise program and you want to lose weight. You want to kick diabetes in the backside, finally, but it's hard. I get it. Sometimes we overlook what's really necessary to live healthy, feel energetic, and minimize the risk of developing health problems, not even just diabetes, just health problems in general. Things become so complicated and confusing. No wonder why so many people give up on their weight loss goals. And they're just like, you know what? This is just too hard. With so many fad diets out there and exercise programs, some people just feel lost and overwhelmed. Folks, if that's you, I've been there too. I know the temptation. I know the temptation to give in to those food cravings, but I also know what it takes to win against the urge to splurge on foods that we both know we need to stay away from. So that's why in this episode, I want to help you to make the shift in your thinking, to make the shift in your food cravings, and really get to the point where you can focus on the fundamentals of eating well, eating nutritious food, stuff that's good for you on a regular basis, and to live that lifestyle of wellness and wholeness so that you can experience good health long term. So what can you expect to receive in this week's episode? You can expect to learn how to beat diabetes by first beating those food cravings. You're going to learn the difference between giving your body what it needs versus what your body is craving. And I'm going to share with you my recommendations on how to begin incorporating healthier foods into your lifestyle so you can win big. So stick around to hear the rest of today's episode. You don't want to miss it. Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabeteslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Welcome to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. My goal is to help diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. I'm your host, Oscar Camejo. When I was 268 pounds and diagnosed with type 2 diabetes back in August 2020, it was clear that I needed to make some changes. I needed to lose weight. I needed to kick my sugar addiction, my sugar cravings, because you know what? My size and my overconsumption of sugary drinks and sweets, they were negatively impacting my health. So I had to make some changes, folks. So it was clear that I needed to create a podcast that people can relate to, that people can understand, so that people can get some clear-cut, non-complicated information to help them along their journey. Because you know what, folks? I know what it's like to be bombarded with a whole bunch of negative information or information that's so complicated and it just makes it so hard. And so I wanted to share with you someone who maybe like yourself is just struggling to know where to start and how to begin. Well, I have a TikTok follower. Her name is Tammy. Tammy wrote, I want to eat better and start exercising, but I don't know where to start. Well, Tammy represents a lot of you who are out there. I've been there. You want to know what to eat. You want to start exercising and doing it more regularly, but you don't know where to start. And it just becomes like, okay, it feels like an uphill battle, but trust me, I believe wholeheartedly that it's important for us to learn as much as possible about nutrition and exercise in order for us to make better decisions, especially at the start of our journey towards living healthier and achieving overall great health and just great well being. Perhaps you've heard the phrase, and I've said it before, that you can out train a bad diet or you can't out exercise a bad diet. That's so true. Recently a friend of mine was telling me about his struggles with losing weight. He wanted to, do better, but it just seemed like an uphill battle. He's been trying to work out. He's been, just needing to create a regimen, but it's just hard, living a busy lifestyle with work and just other life things. It was just hard. He works out when he can, but he's realizing that the struggle is real and he isn't losing weight like he expected. So he wanted to start a program. He wanted to get on board with just making a wholesale decision right now to do better, not only just with exercise, but eating. And just like Tammy, he wanted to know where to start. And I really believe it starts with education because, the more and more we learn about, let's say, our weight and what it's going to take to not only lose weight, but to keep it off, because it's all about building that momentum one step at a time. I don't believe in these shortcut ways to lose weight. And then people get into trouble later on because they put all the weight back on because they didn't develop a lifestyle of good eating. They didn't develop a habit of regular exercise. They had a short-term goal and they met that short-term goal. And after that, that was it. So back to my friend, the more and more we talked, the more we discovered that his exercise or the lack of it, that really wasn't a problem. It was really the food and what he was eating. And that is the issue with a lot of us. We focus so much on exercise and going to the gym for hours and hours or running outside or jogging and walking and cycling and stuff like that. But then we just eat whatever. This isn't a unique problem to just a handful of people. There are lots of people who find themselves in the same situation, folks. So even personal trainers know that both physical activity and healthy eating habits contribute to long-term health outcomes, the good outcomes. So to help you fully reach your goals, you should focus on fitness, lifestyle, and nutrition, with nutrition being the top priority. Folks, for me, when I started my journey towards better health, I was focused so heavily on exercise. I've said this before. But as I experienced a lack of significant weight loss, I shifted my thinking and I began to understand the role that food was playing in my health and weight, good and bad. Folks, for me, when I started my journey towards better health, I was focused on exercise. But you know what? As I experienced just the up and down roller coaster with my weight and even hitting a plateau, I realized that, man, something must be going on. I knew there wasn't anything wrong with my body, but there had to be more than just exercise. I really had to pay attention to the things that I was putting in my body and what things were making it hard for me to, continue to lose weight and keep it off. And I realized that I was just giving in to my cravings sometimes at night. I was exercising, but still sometimes eating the not so good foods, the high sugary foods, things that were really negatively impacting my progress. So, fast forward to when it finally clicked for me. I learned and actually made a wholesale decision that, you know what, I need to choose healthier options when it comes to food if I wanted to maintain good health and prevent and even minimize, type 2 diabetes from getting worse. And I just realized that, you know what, man, I'm starting to feel good. I'm starting to feel great, as a matter of fact, having a lot of energy, and the weight was just coming off and coming off. And I realized that, okay, so definitely it's the food. It's the putting away the things that were really negatively impacting my body. But you know what? It didn't happen overnight. Coming to that revelation did not happen overnight. It took me really paying attention to what I was putting in my body and when my body was craving. Yeah, there were times where I wanted to pull in and go to my favorite cookie spot and get a couple of cookies after working out and stuff like that. But it's like, this stuff is going to negatively impact my progress. And I know sometimes, we just have this mentality where it's like, you know what? Let me just have a couple of cheat meals. I'll be fine because I'm just going to quote unquote burn it off. But I had to get to the point where it's like, you know what? I can't afford to indulge in cheat meals. And so for me, it used to be pizza. And I made a decision that I was not going to eat pizza. So as of today, and the start of my health journey is probably been over 2 years since I've had a slice of pizza. Yes, that's wild. And I'm not saying that you have to give up pizza. It was just that I had a craving for pizza. But the question again is, what was it that I did to help me to overcome that craving for pizza, that craving for sugary drinks, that craving for the cookies and the cakes and the pies and the late night fried foods and all of that stuff? Well, I believe it starts with becoming a more conscious eater. Basically, really paying attention to what my cravings were. When were the cravings hitting? For me, the cravings would happen like midday before lunch, actually mid morning. Then the cravings would happen again a couple hours after lunchtime. And then it would hit like massively after dinner, maybe a couple hours after dinner, right before bed. So it was like 3 times a day, there was just this massive craving thing that would just hit me. So I realized, well, the cravings hit after I was eating high carb foods, whether it's in the morning, during lunch, or late at night after dinner, because my foods, the things that I was eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner were high carbs, high sugary things, things that would just raise my blood sugar, and my blood sugar would just be just high, and then it would come crashing down, and it just this roller coaster of things were just happening. So it got to a point where I realized my sugar cravings or my cravings for breads and so forth usually always happen after a sugar spike. Let's say if in the morning I had some donuts or a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich for breakfast with some sweet tea. A couple of hours later, I would feel hungry again, and then I would go to the snack machine or the vending machine and get something to eat. And then after lunch, if I ate like, let's say, some fried food, like let's say a chicken sandwich from a local fast food place or a hamburger, yeah, I would be full for maybe 30 minutes, but then I would just get into this place where it's like, man, I just feel hungry again. So I would go to the vending machine and get some chips and cookies and pastries or whatever was just available, or just drive somewhere because I just had this unsatiable desire to get something sweet. And it was just this roller coaster of things that was just going on, a roller coaster of cravings. And then cravings would hit again late at night, a couple hours after dinner. So again, I believe it starts with becoming a more conscious eater. So I had to be more conscious of when these cravings really happen. So then I had to backtrack and say, okay, well, it looks like I am causing these cravings because of the things that I was eating, whether it's poor eating habits for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, one thing that I recommend for people to do is for you to be more mindful of what you're eating throughout the entire day. Some people may choose to write a log, jot down what you're eating, or kind of just sitting down thinking about, okay, what do I normally eat every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Again, even with what you're eating, what are you drinking with your meals in the morning? Are you drinking coffee with a whole bunch of sugar? Are you having soda early in the morning? What are some things basically that are causing your sugar spikes or these cravings in the mornings, after lunch, in between lunch and dinner? What's happening after dinner? Sometimes when you get home, let's say, and from a long days at work, do you have a habit of sitting down and drinking a Coke before getting ready to watch television, before you have dinner? You get what I'm saying. So you get what I'm saying. I want you to pay attention to what are your post dinner eating habits. What do they look like? Do you grab snacks? Do you grab some chips, popcorn, maybe even while you're watching television? What's your habit like? Here's another thing. How much water are you drinking? Are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking any water at all? Or are you just, used to drinking soda, sports drinks, coffee, and sweet tea, lemonade, whatever it is? I want you to pay attention and start noticing, what is it that your body crave? Does your body crave bread? Does your body crave cakes, pastries, hamburgers, french fries, fried chicken, bacon, soda, sweet tea, lemonade? A lot of these foods are high in sugar, added sugar, high in carbs, high in saturated fat, but high in sodium, and just a whole bunch of other unhealthy things that are really contributing to poor health. Unfortunately, yes, that's the standard American diet. A lot of foods that we consume, they're just not good for us. So, and I've shared this in past episodes, that it's important to give your body what it needs versus giving your body what it craves. So I had to take an inventory of what was in my environment. I had to look at what was in my refrigerator, what was in my cabinets. I had to look everywhere. And I decided that, what? I was making it way too complicated. I was having these things so close in my reach. I used to have chips out in the open. I used to have popcorn. I had the soda. I had all this stuff just too accessible. So I had to clean house, if you will. I had to really take inventory of what was around me. Because you know what? For me, dealing with the food cravings meant that I needed to clean house. It's like that spring cleaning time that we all engage in to make sure our house is clean and in order. We get rid of things that we don't need, stuff that's been in the closet for too long, things that we know we don't need to wear anymore or that just don't fit our current lifestyle. So it's the same thing. We need to take an inventory of our lifestyle. What things do we have around us that's making it very hard for us to kick the cravings? So for you, think about the things that your body needs. There are things that your body doesn't need. Your body doesn't need soda. Your body doesn't actually need the sugary foods like the cakes and the ice cream and all this other stuff. I know we like it, but our bodies don't actually need it. So if you want to kick your cravings, start by re examining what you have around your home and getting rid of the stuff. Now, does that mean your cravings are automatically going to go away? No, just follow me. You want to create an environment that makes it easier for you to consume healthier things. Now, when you're out and you're at work and there's a vending machines and stuff like that, that's another thing. So we'll deal with that in a minute. But even then, you can control what you have around your desk. You don't have to continue to load up on the cakes and the cookies and hide them in your desk drawer. So the same inventory and spring cleaning that I want you to do at home, I want you to do it in your office. I want you to look in your car. I want you to look at those places that you frequent, that you have easy access to, and clean house. Okay? So what is it that your body need versus what your body craves? I've shared this before, but our bodies need 6 basic nutrients. And that's carbohydrates, that's a good carbs, your proteins, good quality protein. Our bodies need healthy fats. Our bodies need water. Our bodies need vitamins to help prevent deficiencies. And our bodies need minerals also to help prevent deficiencies. So I look at it like this. When I wanted to develop a lifestyle that was healthier, I had to think about what is it that my body actually needs. And I had to focus on those 6 things. Again, carbohydrates, proteins, good quality protein, lipids or healthy fats, water, vitamins, minerals. So every day or throughout the week, I'm thinking, okay, give my body what it needs. Give my body what it needs, not what it craves. When I go to the grocery store, there's one particular grocery store. In order to get to the meat section, you have to pass through the juices aisle and the bakery. And so I make a beeline straight to the meat section. I don't stop to look at, what's the latest cookies and baked goods that they have there. No, I keep it moving, man. I don't have time to give my attention to those things that used to be cravings for me or used to cause cravings. Because I've heard and learned that the thing that you give your attention to the most is what you're going to desire. So keep that in mind. Let me say that again. The things that you give your attention to the most are what you're going to desire. So if you stare at a piece of carrot cake when you're out and about, or you're at your friend's house, they're having a party, you're staring at that cake or you're staring at that pile of cookies, guess what? It's going to awaken a desire. So stop paying attention to those craving foods. Don't give it a second look. Keep it moving. And sometimes when you have that plate of cookies looking right at you, or you're passing by the fast food place and that fast food place, just you smell the food even when your windows are up, don't give it a second thought. Keep moving. So remember, what you give your attention to the most is what you're going to desire. So minimize your attention to those things, and I guarantee you're going to start seeing the results of you breaking that habit of giving into your craving. So again, remember earlier we talked about cleaning house and not having those things accessible to you. That's because those things are in our gaze. Those things are they grab our attention, and so we start salivating over certain things and just giving into the cravings. That's something that's practical. And here's another thing about taking an audit or inventory of your food choices and the things that you're drinking. I used to always want to have something sweet late at night. Get up, let's say to go use the bathroom, and automatically I would make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or put it on a Pop Tart or something. I just always had to have something sweet. And so once I got rid of the chips, the Pop Tarts, and the other snack foods that were really challenging for me, I still had to deal with my desire for something sweet. So I said, you know what? Let me try eating some apples at night. Whenever I had a craving for something sweet, instead of jumping in my car late at night and go finding something, I said, you know what? Let me stock up on some green apples. It was green apples specifically. And I started eating an apple. And sometimes I would eat 2 apples, maybe sometimes 3 apples. I realized that for me, choosing something healthier that was still sweet, but again, it was healthier, helped me to curb my cravings. And I kept doing that. So I was giving my body what it thought it needed. Really, it was craving something sweet. So I gave it something sweet, but that was healthier. You get what I'm saying? So let's say for you it's popcorn. You may say, well, corn is a vegetable, man. It should be okay. But think about it. That big bag of popcorn that you're used to eating late at night, you're popping it and you're watching television, is probably, a whole bunch of butter in it and just some other stuff that your body doesn't need. It may even be that kettle. What is it? What do they call that? The kettle popcorn that's salty and sweet, that has caramel on it and all that other stuff. So you may be used to eating that, but I want you to try something. Get rid of the bag of popcorn. And instead, I want you to find something that let's say if it is something salty, like let's say mixed nuts. And I want you to replace the bag of chips with let's say a cup of healthy nuts. And you have to be careful. You don't want to eat a whole bunch of mixed nuts either. But I want you to choose the healthier option. Instead of the popcorn again, which is going to spike your blood sugar, because of the starch and so forth. Instead of the popcorn, choose something like mixed nuts, or choose something else that, will give you the benefit of, remember what I mentioned before, the carbohydrates, the good carbohydrates, a protein, a healthy fat, something that has vitamins and minerals. Just kind of think of that. So that's a way to choose a healthier option. And you know what? It's going to take some time. It's going to take some experimentation. So I want you to be patient, but I want you to be consistent. I want you to monitor your progress. And you definitely have to make a plan for change. It's not going to happen overnight. Be sure that your plan includes eating fresh vegetables and making the fresh vegetables handy and more accessible, like celery. You can easily snack on celery and some carrots at night because, sometimes we're just used to eating something crunchy and wanting something crunchy. So you may want to look at some of those options and so forth. So again, I don't want to oversimplify the cravings that a lot of you all may be dealing with. Sometimes it may require you getting professional help from a registered dietitian who can help you to develop a meal plan that you can follow, that will be sustainable. But the bottom line is we want to create better habits and good habits. There's a book that, I read a couple of times. It's by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. Because, a lot of us, we're dealing with poor habits, and it's just hard to kick the habit of eating poorly. So I want you to keep in mind that with any resource that I share, it's going to be up to you to really chew the meat and spit out the bones, as they say, because there's a lot of material out there, and the things that I share with you are designed to help you to make better choices. But you know what? No matter what we read, no matter what podcast we listen to, we have to make a decision, a quality decision, a wholesale decision to turn our lives around. You see, folks, I can give you the step-by-step process of how to kick your cravings, but at the end of the day, are you ready to make changes? Are you ready to make a plan to change and stick to it? We can't keep just giving in to our cravings because it's so easy. We have to make it harder on ourselves to give in to the cravings and make eating healthier easy. Okay? We have to make exercise easier to sustain and not hard. Because I think that's where a lot of people give up, because a lot of their exercise programs are just too difficult and too complicated to follow. And it's just hard to sustain and so forth. So you get what I'm saying. I hope you got something out of today's podcast. My goal, as always, is to help you to make lifestyle changes so that you can prevent and even reverse diseases such as type 2 diabetes. So how do you beat diabetes? Well, first you got to deal with your food cravings. So I hope you got some practical information that you can use, because you know what? None of us want to struggle with type 2 diabetes or any chronic condition for that matter, especially if we can help it. So my friend, stay tuned for future episodes of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle podcast. It's been my pleasure to be your host. So as always, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, and bounce back, because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.